Hello and welcome once again to Ignite Your Impact. My name is Jen Rhodes. I am, as always, joined by my wonderful husband, Matt.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Excellent.
I'm confident.
As am I. I'm confident you are going to be able to get some major nuggets from this podcast. If you're in the car, if you're walking the dog, if you're in the gym, give me a hey, ho.
So jumping right in, if you can't,
Put away the caffeine, Jen.
we're going to talk about confidence today. You know, and if you Google the word confidence, I think you get something like, there's over like 2 billion results. So this is a big thing, obviously.
People are searching for confidence or how to become confident.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So not only is it big because we need it in our life, but people are trying to find that. And for me, I think most people are super confident in some areas and not so much in others. And that was the way it was for me. And when you try to act confident in areas that you're not confident in, something sneaks in. It's called imposter syndrome. And right now, based on what's going on in society, the 2 billion results, a lot of people are working on themselves right now, which is a great thing. You see it all over. The society is turning towards wanting to work on oneself and be a better person. But when you start to do that, the imposter syndrome word creeps in because it's kind of all over social media right now. It's in any group that you talk about, that pops up. And for me, I had to really harness the areas that I was confident in, that I felt good confidence in, and use that energy to work on the areas that I wasn't confident in. And that helped me not get to that imposter syndrome because I knew that I wasn't my best self in those areas, but I was really good in some other areas. And I needed to work on those things. But I want to turn this to my co-host and talk a little about confidence with her because, you know, we were sitting in a training and
we've been in many.
Yeah. and we've been through quite a bit of training. But the topic of confidence and really that self-talk that goes into your mind that you do when you say to yourself, it came up. And in this training that we were in, it's a very small, intimate group. And Jen opened up to the group that she was not a confident person. And there's way more to that because she really opened up and talked through that. And I can literally remember if you can picture Jen and I sitting right side by side, I'm just like,
married for 20 years.
I'm like head over on the side saying, what are you talking about? You're the most confident person I know. And if you've listened to our podcast for a while, or you know us personally, you may be saying the same thing about her. You know, I always thought Jen was the most confident person. She will talk to anyone. Her vibration level rises when she is around people, not by herself. She just has that air and that walk of confidence. And even the first time we went to a beach and she walked out in a thong, I was like, holy shit, you're confident. There's all these things that led me to believe that type of thing. And I always thought it was just me that wasn't confident. I mean, in our relationship, and when I went and looked at other people, I thought it was me that was missing those pieces. And you may be thinking that as well if you're listening right now. Maybe you think it's just you that has these areas that are maybe not where you need to be. You know, I didn't know this about my partner of 25 years, that there were areas that she was lacking confidence in. So you may not know that about yourself as well.
Yeah. I love that you brought up the story of our honeymoon. Yeah. So if you do know me, from a very young age, I've been a dancer, and dancers by nature are in very little clothing. There's a reason for it. It's so you can see the body's movement and make sure that the form is perfection. But I've never been ashamed or worried about my body because I've always, like, this is what you dance in. You dance in a leotard. That's just how you do it. So it was never a big thing with me with like adornment. Ooh, adornment. It was never like whatever. It's just what dancers wear. That's our uniform, right? Like I was never ashamed about my belly button. But if you know me, you may be wondering, where this is all coming from too. Just like, Matt, like, what are you talking about? You are the most confident person I know. And I want to clarify a little bit. I'm fearless, but I'm not confident. And I worked on that confidence piece. So am I willing to jump off a cliff? Absolutely. Am I terrified the whole way down? You betcha. But I've always been in industries and situations where I was automatically seen as a confident person because of that vibration that Matt talked about. I'm just naturally an extroverted person. I love being around people. I love talking to people. I love vibrating at a higher frequency. Some may see that as confidence. I will say, until we went through that training, 95% of my daily interactions in my industry was imposter syndrome. Did I know the information? Absolutely. But I had something in my head going, you don't know shit. What are you even talking about? And I have to share how hard that dichotomy was to live with. And I have a funny story, and it was even before we met. I was a senior in high school, and I was going to the college that we attended, was going to our dance team tryouts. And it was the only girl from my high school that was going to this school that I knew of, and the only one trying out. So I was alone in this situation. Come to find out, I walk into tryouts, and there's 20 other girls that have all gone to school together since they were children. So I was really the odd one out. And I just walked in ready with I call it my Superman cape, my safety shades, like whatever costume you have to put on, or that cloak that you have to put on to feel fearless. I walked in with my big baggy Adidas sweatshirt and my Adidas tearaway pants that we all wore in the 90s. And I was ready to kick some ass because I had to come into that confident character. I was terrified. I remember walking out, getting into the car. I said, Mom, drive. And she got 2 blocks away, and I lost it because I was just so freaking scared. And I made the team. And come to find out, after spending some time with the girls, they were like, we thought you were a bad bitch. And I was like, what? Oh my God, you guys, I was terrified. So it's just funny. Those people that don't even know you got to see how I showed up as that confident person, even though I was just beating the crap out of myself inside. And I was tearing myself up with fear and doubt for years. I wasn't qualified to be in this industry. Jen, you have a fashion degree. How can you be in the fitness industry? You don't know anything. You've never run a business. You have no idea what you're doing. You taught yourself how to use Excel. What are you doing? There's no way you're this smart. Everything good has come from your husband's success. Like, guys, think about that 20-year loop of that. That's awful. That's a hell.
And I think it's important to mention those were not, because I think people relate to this. Those were not things that other people said to you. All those things she just said, no one said that to her. She was saying it to herself.
It was a yucky loop.
And there's a lot of people who have that right now. So keep going, but I thought it was important to distinguish that.
No, thank you for doing that because, if anybody else would have been saying that, we would have like put the smack down. But think about that. And what a great thing, too. Like, if someone ever said that to me, I would literally lay the smack down. Yeah. I was doing it to myself. I needed to smack myself. That self-loathing dialogue plagued my brain for years. And I spiraled out so hard that I didn't even know I was just making it worse. I was just digging myself even deeper. But that training, that group, and I'll say that group that Matt shared earlier are industry professionals. Like, I was nervous walking in there. These are some heavy hitters in the fitness industry. So you want to talk about that bitch in the back of my head that was tearing me down? I still was fearless enough to walk into that room in front of my mentors and just expose this vein. Like, I'm terrified, guys. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I love the fact that you called me out on it and helped me get through it, because it took some practice to stop her. But at the root of it, it was fear. It was my fear that was causing this. And if you've read Outwitting the Devil, fear is how the devil gets you trapped. Your fear of the unknown is getting you stuck. And even before we started taking those trainings, I knew that I needed to take a chance on myself. I knew that there was something in me that I could make myself confident. And even if I needed to fake it until I made it, I knew that I needed to do that work. And what if I took a chance on me? And what if I speak up? And what if I showed this wasn't a fluke? Once I faced my true fear, and I learned how to make that inner critic my biggest cheerleader, watch out, world. You guys have seen it. I'm unstoppable. I was so scared to let that true person shine through. Guys, I'm sorry. I was robbing you 20 years worth of my true gift. So glad I woke up. But now we're teaching others how to unleash their inner badass. And in February, I did my first free 5-day badass body love challenge. And I will say the results from it was, oh my God, it was so gratifying just to teach others, men and women, the 5 steps that I used. It took me a few months to get through my inner hell. What if you could do it in 5 days? Right? Like, what if you could find that inner rapport like that and just move forward with lightning speed?
But it was a process. I would tell you, probably no one listening right now knows this, but when we transitioned out of the day-to-day operations of our gym and went online, it was not a Matt and Jen transitioning. Jen went out and built the back end of everything that we have that goes on in this business. And if you work
everything.
Most of it, 99% of it. If you work with us, you know there's a lot of moving parts behind there, because we wanted to get to we're not for the masses.
No.
But we wanted to get to a massive level where we could take on a lot of clients and give them the right servicing that they needed. And it took a lot of work on the back end, which was always something I did. You said, you heard Jen mention earlier, I don't know she'd written on written on the coattails of my
success came because of your success.
So what it took it took Jen stepping out and saying, I've got to do this. And she designed all that. And I literally just one day stepped in and said, all right, what's our process? How do we do this? And that was something she did and stepped out. But where that goes is that's how she's teaching people, through real life situations that she's been in and had to overcome. That's not an imposter syndrome right there. That is not a fake it till you make it. That is, I've been in the trenches. I've had the negative self-talk. I did the steps that I needed to do to get through to the other side. And now I'm helping other people do that as well. So the premise for that challenge and a lot of the things we do, it's 5 steps that we're going to share with you today that you can put into practice immediately on your journey. Obviously, if you want more in-depth help with that, reach out to us. There's no cost to that when Jen does the next one. But I do want to share the 5 with you. The first one is you got to define your goal or your target, what you're going after.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah. It always starts there. If you listen to any episodes,
what's the goal?
If you're not where you want to be right now, that's the first step. No matter what you do, what's your goal? The second one is you got to align your core values to that target. Who do you have to become to get there? What are your values? Remember, we've talked values lead to your beliefs, which lead to your behaviors, which lead to your outcomes. So what are your values around getting towards to be that person? Who do you have to become? And the next the next thing is the habits. What habits are needed to get there?
That's where the self-talk came in for me. I had a habit that was so unconscious, and your patience during that has been, you're awesome.
Thank you.
I think you're great. You've been such a wonderful partner, and hopefully you have someone that can help you through that piece. I interrupted. I just wanted to share that because
Thank you.
It's a whoop, whoop, Matt moment.
With those habits, though, it takes practice.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to practice those habits. So first, again, you start on your goal, your target, and then you align those core values, and then you start working on your habits. But then you also got to look at your environment. What environment is curating or choking that target? And you guys understand environment. Things you put in your head, the people you're around, the things you say to yourself. There's all ways that you can correct all that. If you go back and listen to any of our episodes, we talk about that in all of them. That's the fourth one. And then you just have to practice until it becomes permanent. That may seem really easy. But you literally think about, what do I want? And then you align your values towards that. And then you start doing habits with it. And then you make sure your environment's right. And then you just keep practicing, because it's not an overnight deal. Jen said earlier, it took her 2 or 3 months to break through that.
And I still course correct.
Yeah,
and
we all will.
Of course.
But practice makes perfect. You get up every single day and do the tough stuff until it becomes not tough.
And I'll say it wasn't tough. It's definitely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But that inner bitch, she's a badass now. God, she's cool.
So go back and write down those 5 things and figure out maybe which piece you're missing if you are missing a piece. Plug that in and watch what happens, because you may have heard this before. No one is afraid of heights. They're afraid of falling down.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Jen just said, was just talking about. She wasn't afraid of the height. She was afraid of falling down. And when you realize everyone is afraid of falling down, that's when you can break free and you can start to fly and start to realize you are a work in progress when you start doing these 5 steps and work on your confidence.
Babe, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
I think you're just amazing. Guys, I hope you take all of these steps and put them into practice right now. If you need help course correcting, reach out to us. This is something that we do all the time. If anything, share this with somebody that you think would find value in it. Tag us in your Insta stories. Give us a 5-star review. If you're interested in that next round of my 5-day Badass Body Love Challenge, I'd love to have you. We have a lot of fun in there. If anything, guys, we'll talk next time.